Hello and welcome everyone to Anfield Index. In today's episode, we'll be breaking down the key elements and very much what we did learn from Liverpool's 3-2 defeat. Only Liverpool's second defeat of the season. It was a very good campaign for Liverpool. 7 wins with only 1 loss coming this evening anyway. But we'll get straight into the analysis and the key points in which we did learn. So we'll break down the first goal for Liverpool. It was very much initiated by some fantastic pressing in regards to Federico Chiesa in terms of closing down the space, limiting the fullback in terms of his ability to come out with the ball. I think this is very much a prominent thing that Chiesa done really well. The sheer tenacity in terms of closing down the space, as you can see, in such a small proximity in terms of space on the pitch. His ability inside the penalty area is very much elite in terms of the first 5 to 10 yards, the narrowing down of space, and the way in which he's read that transition, get ahead of Veerman in terms of pinching that ball off him in that area of the pitch. I think it's really good, a great piece of work from Chiesa, more or less forcing that opportunity on himself, really. Quick goal as well, very well executed penalty into the bottom right corner from Cody Gakpo. He's very familiar in this round, and of course, the former PSV captain. He scored many of the goals inside this stadium from that penalty spot. Quite refreshing considering we do tend to just see Mohamed Salah on every single penalty, but it's good to see Liverpool got an option from the penalty spot in the form of Cody Gakpo if needs be, coming into the back end of May. Quickly touching on highlighting really Liverpool's initial press in the opening stages of that first half. A really good balance, really, in regards to Liverpool, our willingness to man-to-man mark and press. As the game did progress and did transpire into the back end of it, that's where obviously the youthfulness of this Liverpool side did very much show. It wasn't always that continuous press from Liverpool, and that's very much where, as we will speak about in today's episode, where Liverpool's inability really just to allow PSV in behind. But on this occasion, good press for me. I think we really started the game really well. We'll have a little look at the equaliser for PSV. It's a long searching ball by Karsdorp down that right-hand channel. A long ball drifted in behind the back of Liverpool's defence. But as you can see here, Andy Robinson, not the best positional-wise. He's not very much aware of Bakayoko. That's what happens when you play a left-back centre-half. Not ideal. But in terms of his body positioning, Andy Robbo could have been and should have been very much a lot better in terms of being a lot more aware, scanning in around them. And obviously with that long ball in, pumped into the back end of Liverpool's defence anyway. And it was a good flick on by Pepe. But as you can see, you'd expect a Canati, you'd expect a Van Dijk in these situations, as we have seen on many of occasions this year, to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and just get that situation cleared and a bit more better communication, really. But on this occasion, Robbo and obviously Joel Quansah not really communicating to the very much elite level that we expect, really, in this situation. But as you can see from Bakayoko, really pulled off Pepe with a nice little flick on into the path of Bakayoko. And then it was in terms of this transition, really, Bakayoko really sat both Didobo and Joel Quansah with a little faint little touch there onto his left and then shifted onto his right to put that into the back of the net, really. But certainly a goal that Liverpool can very much avoid. Liverpool's second goal come from a very long ball. Again, a situation where Cody Gakpo very much held the ball up really well, bringing in, as you can see there, Chiesa running into the picture, directing Gakpo and Jadon Danns exactly where Chiesa wants that ball. But it was great initial build-up, good strength from Gakpo originally to allow and very much to facilitate Chiesa to unleash an absolute rocket Benitez, who did very much pad here. But what I like about this is Chiesa's arriving inside the penalty area at the right moments. That's one thing that about his game. The Italian, even his time in the Serie A as well, he's got that ability, and hopefully we do see that into this season and into the future seasons ahead. Now, arriving inside the penalty spot at the right time. It's a very well executed, strong, powerful shot. Liked about Harvey Elliott's positioning here. As you can see, he's looking straight across that back line anyway. He's timed his run to an absolute perfection, really. And obviously there was no qualms about him not being offside position. And all Elliott has to do is very much guide that into the bottom corner anyway, and he very much did do that. We'll speak about the second goal in which Liverpool did concede. First initial analysis, obviously, as you can see, the referee got in the way for me in regards to Wataru Endo in terms of the way in which he can take that ball into his stride. So I think initially when we analysed this back, the position of Endo wasn't best helped by the referee. But even still, Endo does have a couple of touches on the ball, caught very flat-footed, really, in terms of expecting to have a lot more time. But that's where you've got to appreciate PSV in terms of their willingness to try and win that ball up quite high. But for me, Endo needs to release that a bit more earlier. But even still, Conor Bradley, as you can see to his right, should be shouting, should be commanding and wanting that ball from Endo a bit more quicker, really, and just providing that passing lane and passing option for the man on the ball. And that very much causes uncertainty from Conor Bradley, caught too high up the pitch. Because if you're wanting to command that ball and shout for the ball, you've got to make sure that you do win the ball and your teammate doesn't lose it. But Sabari exploits Liverpool's space really well. But it's not really helpful at all from a structural point of view. Just the absolute sheer space Liverpool very much facilitate and allow PSV to have on that transition. Sabari really steps into that space really well. As you can see, Conor Bradley next to nowhere in and around that. I think, even being honest, Jarell Quansah really should be closing down that space a bit more, trying to limiting the XG, really limiting the opportunity. Quansah needs to, and this is where Quansah will very much learn as the years will transpire. But I think in terms of this, Sabiri was very much allowed too much time and space inside the penalty area for me. So in terms of Jarell Quansah, as you can see there, really needs to be closing the space a lot more. But obviously, as we've seen on many of occasions so far this season, especially Liverpool in a transitional sense, whether that's been Trent, whether that's been Bradley on the night against PSV, in this analysis, really, Liverpool's fullbacks sometimes, not all the time, but when we do get punished in behind, it's very much a case of just very much that doubt in terms of the fullbacks. They need to be taking a lot more command of it, and very much from a centre-back positional point of view. I think structurally, Liverpool's centre-backs need to be, especially on this occasion, in certain elements of our game, just to be a lot more aggressive inside the penalty area, be a lot more decisive in these crucial moments of the game, really, just to limit those chances for the opposition attackers. And certainly, it was a good goal by Sabiri, but certainly even still, I can even question Kelleher to possibly even come out and very much smother that space and just limit that opportunity down and limit the XG down to just make it a bit more difficult. But I think it was just far too easy to Sabiri very much to get a shot on goal in that position of the pitch. In terms of the third goal that Liverpool did concede, again, as we've mentioned with Conor Bradley, from a structural point of view, a lot of changes for Liverpool, but even still, when you look at this goal back anyway, again, Conor Bradley down that right-hand side, just the unwillingness, really, just to close down the space needs to be a lot more quicker and a lot more decisive, really. I think, as you can see here, he's thinking about it too much, if I'm being honest. As you can see on this PSV third goal, Liverpool, from a structural point of view, you can look at that line. It's absolutely so disjointed. You got Costas, you got Robbo, you got Jarell Quansah, and you got Bradley, all on different levels in terms of that line. You can sense that this is the first time that back line has very much played together. Obviously, that's what happens when you play a left back in Robbo, centre half. There's no cohesive communication, really, and there's just such a disjointed, yes, it's on transition in which Liverpool do concede this. But even still, it's not like the usual when we do see Canars, we do see Van Dijk as well, commanding and very much keeping that back line on a balanced level, really. But just the sheer space Liverpool allowed on this goal down that right-hand side, there's so much space for very much the PSV forwards to very much exploit and run into. And that's where very much, as we know, the goal did come from. Bradley, as we've said, just needs to be closing that space down a lot more quicker and a lot more decisive. Bradley needs to take command of this transition anyway. And as we said, an unwillingness and a lack of their closing down just very much facilitated that early ball into the penalty box. The partnership between Quansah and Robbo, as you can see there, just Quansah just a bit too late in terms of closing down that space. Both the centre halves need to be tighter, very much to Pepe, but fair enough, it just went into the back of the net, and it was disappointing if we're being honest. But certainly, you can sense from a structural point of view that back line was all over the place. I think one of the most positive aspects to come off the back of this game, with one of the star performers of the game against PSV, was Federico Chiesa. Really refreshing to see him get a full 90 minutes in the tank anyway. But as you can see from some of these situations, this is from the left-hand side, but as we know with the first goal in which Liverpool did score through the Cody Gakpo penalty, his willingness down that right-hand side, Chiesa to start that transition down the right. He did start the game down the right, but in terms of this position, and area of the pitch, as you can see, his willingness to beat the fullback. It's really refreshing that Liverpool are just not going into this season and the seasons to come as well. Chiesa, he's got that ability to play down the right, play down the left as well, but very much his ability to beat a man, beat a fullback, beat a centre half. But on this occasion, as you can see, he beats Karsdorp down that right hand side with so much ease. And for me, that was the situation where he was fouled off the pitch, and I felt it should have been a free kick on that one. But on this occasion, again, transitioning down this left-hand side, Chiesa picks up the ball very much. Bakayoko and the lads trying to close him down, but yet again on this occasion, Chiesa, it was a deep cross into the penalty area. It didn't come off the back of a goal or whatnot, but it was just so refreshing, very much to see Chiesa down that left-hand flank, cut in on his right foot, but even still, from a transitional point of view, he's got that ability to go on his left, go on his right, very two-footed, constant provider and trying to create stuff for Liverpool. And I think going into the back end of May this season, Chiesa, as we know, he's going to play a massive role in terms of what he's going to be doing for Liverpool come at the end of this season. Hope you have enjoyed today's analysis, Reds. And a massive thank you, as always, for tuning in on today's episode. Hope you look forward to the latter stages of the Champions League, of course. Liverpool will find out who we will be getting on Friday, which will be exciting. But Reds, there's a lot of positives, a lot of negatives, really, but it's always well and good. This is only Liverpool's second defeat of the season. Of course, we would have liked to have won last night, but it's not the end of the world. But certainly, there's a lot of improvement, and certainly a lot of so many changes for Liverpool. But yet again, it does emphasise Liverpool from a defensive point of view. Certainly do need to delve into the transfer market in terms of bringing in a bit more rotation of centre halves. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and drop the follow button on Anfield Index as well, Reds. Put your bell notification on so you always do get notified when a video does go live. But for now, Reds, we never walk alone, and I'll see you later. Ta-ra.